someone who clearly needs no introduction is Oscar winner Michelle Yeoh in the most exciting film of my lifetime, Wicked, finally coming to the big screen. Madame Morrible, yourself, tell us how you got started to join Wicked, both part 1 and 2 as Madame Morrible.
Oh, hi, Trevor. Hi from New York. How I got to be part of this incredible, magical experience. Thank you, John Chu. He called me and said, please read the script and, come and play with us. I would do anything for John to start off with. We had such a great working experience working on Crazy Rich Asians, and it's very hard to say no to someone like John. So I read the script, and then I called him back and I said, John, I don't sing. This is like a singing role. And then next thing I knew, he had Ariana and Cynthia video me and say, it's imperative you come and join us now. How do you say no to that? No, but I was up for a challenge, and I thank John Chu for giving me that opportunity to do something I hadn't done before.
Audiences are going to thank him as well once they see the film. And what I love most about your portrayal as Madame Morrible, when I've seen the stage musical many times, and this Wicked Witch, when she quotes that, is this huge loud projection, but we can see, audiences can see the trailer. You have this more kind of understated, like haunting portrayal of that role, and it's so impactful. What was that going through your mind and getting it like that?
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's very different when you're in the theater, because everything has to be exaggerated and very big so that it gets all the way through to the end of the aisle. When we are in a movie, and the subtlety of the nuances of the complexity of the emotions can be underplayed but captured so beautifully, especially by Alice, our amazing DP, and John under his guidance. It's like, how do you make someone not a villain? No one wants to be the villain. And it's kind of, it's, what is a villain? And then at the end of the day, I think we get blinded by ambition. We get blinded by our own dreams of chasing a dream that, has always been so out of reach. And I felt that was very much part of Madame Morrible. That she is the headmistress of this incredible university of Shiz, and her whole being, existence was to find the one who actually could practice magic. And she was surrounded by people who didn't. She was the only one who could conjure up the weather, and that was not, in her books, good enough. So, she was a very complex and beautiful, interesting character. And thank you, John Chu, for thinking me wicked.
Absolutely. And there's so much pressure on this movie. 30 years in the making of Wicked, everyone wants this movie, but it has to be such a sigh of relief to see audiences are loving this film. Critics are raving about this. There was no doubt that Wicked was going to be incredible. What's that like to finally get this finally released after all this time and know that people are going to love it?
You're right. The pressure, when you start off making something, you only have the best intentions for it. You only have love for it. And when you put it out there, it's like, please love us. Because you can't guarantee, you can't control. You can only do your best. And hopefully your best is good enough for the people who have loved this musical, The Wicked, for the last 2 decades, and now getting to see it on the big screen. So I hope this is their dreams coming true, their magical kingdom, unfolding in front of their eyes, and they will love the experience that we had.
They're going to love it. They're going to see it many times, multiple times in theaters. Yes. Make sure you see Wicked starting November 22nd. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
What'd you do last night?
I read. I went over lines.
Play a different song!
But something really weird is happening at home.
Someone's annoyed right now!
Can we talk about it?
I can't. I gotta go to class.
Every so often a movie comes along where I am just like lost for words, and I watched Your Monster last night, and it is probably the best movie I've seen so far this year. I'm talking with the stars, Melissa Barrera, Tommy Dewey. So Melissa, I'll let you do the honors. Tell us what Your Monster is all about.
Your Monster is the story of a woman that, when she's in the lowest point of her life, moves back home and discovers that there's a monster in her closet. And then they kind of fall in love.
And then it gets dark.
And then it gets dark.
It has everything. It's dark, it's funny, it's sad. It literally has the recipe for just masterpiece in my eyes. Tommy, you played this monster whose name in the movie is Monster. And what is the process of getting into all this makeup, all this hair for the movie? Because obviously we can see you. That's not you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for noting the difference. I shaved today. It's about 4.5 hours in the morning, about an hour to take it off in the evening. It's a new mask every day. That mask dies with every day because it's so fragile, for lack of a better term. And I found it really freeing and great. I love Dave Anderson, who designed it and applied it every single day. And Johan, the hair guy, who laid that beard in every day. I'd never gotten to do anything like this before, and I can't wait for the next one. Now, famous last words. It'll be some 100-day shoot where I'm in prosthetics, every day, and it'll be a nightmare. But I loved it, and Melissa had to do the hard work because you had to look at it.
It was easy. It was fun. I loved it.
That's so great to hear. Melissa, you are a superstar singer. We obviously saw you in the Heights. Your singing in this movie is just next level. How do you prepare to get your voice ready for this and just knock it out of the park?
Oh my God. Well, just doing my vocal warm-ups, I guess. I was very scared because the Lazor brothers, who did the original music for the musical in the movie, who did a fantastic job of creating not just the song that I sing. There's like 4 other songs that we actually shot that ended up getting cut from the movie.
But are we releasing them? Maybe.
I think we might be releasing them.
There may be bonus music at some point.
because they're hilarious. Miss Bokata. But they wrote this song for my voice, but they were very they believed in me a lot. And so when I heard the song, I was like, you guys, I cannot sing this. I won't be able to sing this. And they were like, yes, you can. And so then I had to really work so that I could be able to sing that song at the end. Not just like be able to sing it, but act it, because it's like, the final moment of the movie. And it was so important, and I was so nervous about it, but it was such a great experience, and I loved it, and I love that song.
She's being a little humble here. I was there on that day. It's shot with this big crane that's going all around her, and she did full takes, full song, full voice, a lot of times.
By the way, the next day I had no voice. I literally lost my voice. Because it's like scream singing, because of everything that's coming out. It was also freezing in that theater, remember?
Yeah.
So yeah, we shot it, and thankfully I finished that day with a voice, but then I think my throat kind of, how when you get sick after doing, like, you've been waiting for something, you have a job and you get sick right after, and then you're in bed for, like, I felt like my body was doing that. They were like, okay, you're done, you sang, now shut up. And I literally had to take cortisone to be able to finish the movie, because I did not have a voice for the last 2 days of shooting. It was kind of insane.
So great. Also, I'll ask one more question. Tommy, I'll ask you this one. Also starring in the movie is Megan Fakey. After she blew up on The White Lotus, we see her in The Perfect Couple. She's a great supporting character in the movie too. What's it like working with her?
She couldn't be cooler and more lovely. She's become a great friend of both of ours. And she works so perfectly in this movie because she was so hot coming off of White Lotus. And then she struts into that theater, the scene I'm talking about, everybody goes, oh, and which is kind of like how I felt meeting her, because I was such a fan of that last season of that show. But down to earth,
the nicest, the sweetest, super talented, but also like drop dead gorgeous, which is what the character needed to be. And so when luckily, she's best friends with Kayla, our producer, and who plays Maisie. And so she was game to come and like play for a few days. We were all like, oh my God, Megan Fakey's coming. It was just insane.
And such an actor's actor. She was just there.
Yeah.
Like, what do you need me to do to make this movie what you want it to be?
Yeah.
Which is like pretty rare and pretty great.
Yeah.
That's so great to hear. I am not joking when I say this. I'm going to be surprised if I see a better movie that I enjoyed more this year. Make sure you watch Your Monster in theaters now. Thank you both so much. You know and love her. She's in a new movie called Hitpig. It's an animated movie. It's super fun. I'm talking with Lilly Singh. Thank you so much for chatting with me. Tell us what Hitpig is all about.
Oh man, what is Hitpig not about is the real question. So Hitpig is about a bounty hunter that is a pig who is very serious and thinks he knows his life's work and his mission and is very clear until he meets Pickles, who I play, which is a larger than life, fun, silly, ridiculous elephant who's trapped in a Vegas show trying to find her way back to her family in India. And so they become unlikely friends on this mission across the world, literally, as he is trying to return her back to Vegas, but she is trying to go to India. And we're gonna see if one of them changes their mind.
Great to hear the synopsis like that. And it's just an all-star voice cast. Alongside you, we have Jason Sudeikis, Rainn Wilson from The Office, Anita, RuPaul, who RuPaul is like my idol, like just an incredible cast.
I mean,
what is it like?
RuPaul should be everyone's idol.
Exactly. What is it like working with all these incredible actors?
I mean, so here's the thing. I've met only a few of them. I haven't met all of them. But when I say that they all did a phenomenal job in this movie, it is hilarious. The voice acting is incredible. And my general rule of thumb is to surround myself with very famous people like these people. So I also feel very important. So I feel like I crushed it with this voice cast because you're right, it is all star. So yes, let's put my name next to all of those people. That was my complete agenda.
You named it as well. And like you said, voice acting, you're not acting against them in these scenes. You're in different rooms, different locations. That's how voice acting works these days. How do you put yourself in those shoes where you're not standing next to Jason Sudeikis and acting alongside him?
Yeah, you know, if there was 2 words, it would be commit and imagination. You really have to tap into that childlike ability to be like, okay, let me close my eyes. What is this set look like? How would I be running? How would an elephant run? How would an elephant fall? And then you just commit. You know, voice acting is all about being okay with sounding silly, looking silly, and just, it's kind of a silly act being like, I'm alone in this sound booth, but I am going to pretend there's 10 people around me and I'm going to talk to myself for these next 4 hours, and you just have to commit to that.
What's interesting also about Hitpig, it's based on a 2008 children's book, Pete and Pickles. Were you familiar with that prior to filming Hitpig?
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a subtle flex. I'm a little too young to be super familiar, but I did become familiar in preparation for this, and I fell in love. And I love being part of anything that has source material that is so beloved and has stood the test of time like that.
It's going to get old audiences, like not old, I guess I should say, but people that love the book, and now new audiences who are going to love Hitpig. It's just going to be a generational admiration for people with their families. What's it like to get to be part of something like that?
It's so cool. I mean, I've done a lot of cool things, but one of my favorite things, especially because I have 3 nephews who love animated films, and my family in general, my mom and dad, they love animated films. It is that genre that the whole family really gets together and watches. Everything else, I feel like everyone's in a silo watching their own thing, but when it's an animated movie, the family gets together. And so, especially having 3 younger nephews, the coolest thing for me is when they come up to me and they say, wait, you're the voice? Andy, you're the voice of that thing. We don't believe you. Prove it to me. Prove it to me you're that voice. And then they fall in love with these characters, and that's really cool.
Love that they're at that age, because I have a niece who I'm like, I've talked to previous voice actors. I'm like, I've interviewed those people, but it's like, she doesn't grasp the concept yet. So I can't wait to tell her when she's of age. Oh, I interviewed Lilly Singh from Hitpig, which she's going to love. And it reminds me of like Shrek with this kind of adult humor that obviously people are going to love in that aspect as well. So you're right. It's certainly for the whole family.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have kids, but from my friends that do have kids, I know something that can be a little exhausting is watching completely kid content every moment of the day. So I promise parents, when you go, there'll be some humor just for you and some moments just for you that only you will pick up on. And it really is for everyone.
I can guarantee that. What do people need to know before they see Hitpig?
Oh, what do people need to know? I think what you need to know is that we're in trying times. I think everyone's a little stressed, a little anxious right now. And I think for these 84 something minutes of watching Hitpig, I think you should know that you can just let go and experience joy and laugh. That's completely okay. And that's exactly what our intention is in making this movie.
So said, so well said. I can't wait for people to see Hitpig in theaters now. Thank you so much, Lilly.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I will live in the past, the present, and the future. I will not shut out the lessons that they teach.
He's directed popular episodes of shows like Peaky Blinders, The Terror, Legion, and now Tim Mielants' next project is a feature film starring an Oscar winner. So thank you for chatting with me, and tell us what Small Things Like These is all about.
Oh, Small Things Like These is about a coal man in a small Irish town who sees what's happening in front of him, like injustice is happening to a young woman near the monastery, and he's facing that injustice, and he's coping with his conscience whether he should do something about it or not.
This is a 128-page book that you're adapting for film. It's a 90-minute movie, so it's fairly short for books these days, but how did you come across this story and become attached to directing it?
Yeah, I think me and Cillian, after Peaky Blinders, we wanted to work again together, and we were looking for material, and it was Cillian's wife who was kind of waving with the book in front of us, and I read it, and I recognized a very personal story, which is very close to me, which is kind of the grief and kind of delayed, postponed grief, which I experienced myself in life. And I said, like, but with an actor as Cillian, I would love to investigate more about what it is all about.
And to be honest, this could not be coming at a better time for you, for Cillian, fresh off his Oscar win for Oppenheimer. What is it like working with him? You obviously worked together on Peaky Blinders, like you said, but now in a feature film as well.
What it is like, I think what's very nice to have him as a producer as well, to go with him to locations, to explain him everything up front, to show him all my storyboards and all my ideas, and that was really special. That's something I would love to do again, because from the moment we were on set, he knew exactly what I was after, and we could start at a very high level. So that was marvelous. Yeah.
Great to hear with him, and also getting rave reviews for her performance as the fabulous Emily Watson. Already won an award at the Berlin International Film Festival for this exact performance. How is working with her and knowing she's going to be incredible in this?
Oh yeah, she's amazing. I have to say, like, I was hoping to work with her for a long time, because I saw Breaking the Waves when I was a little bit too young for it. I think my mother took me to the movie when I was too young. There's always a value in watching movies when you are too young, so it sticks with you, and it was like a dream. But I think it was Cillian's idea to ask her, but that she was out of my league all the time. It was strange. I was working with Cillian, but like, she was impossible to work with. She was too, and then she was on the floor, and she was the best. She was amazing. It was a blessing. I'm so proud of that scene and so proud of her performance.
It's two great performances you have in your film, and this is described kind of as a historical fiction story. It's based on something that really happened, but the story itself is the fiction part of it. What did you learn doing all this research and doing this movie about the Magdalene laundries following the completion of the film?
Yeah, I have to say, I came in as a foreigner, so I didn't own that history. So I had a lot of Irish people helping me, but at the same time, maybe the value of it was that I was carrying that kind of history on my shoulders, and that I get more freedom to concentrate about the character. And I think it's a kind of thing that comes back and back in history. Like, if you're silent, are you complicit? That's like the DNA of the story, and you can see that throughout every period in history. But I was really trying to navigate with the character through his grief and through what he was thinking, because I think at the end of the day, if you can cope with the trauma, you may come out as a better person.
I think you did that so perfectly with it's kind of the film style of this, where it's all these super close-up shots. We're seeing the grief and expression on Cillian's face throughout the whole film. It's a lot of not as much dialogue as we see in other films, but I think that is so important in how this story is told. Surely that was your intent in how you wanted to do this story?
Yeah, exactly. I was as the book itself felt like I should be like a silent observer. And having standing there as a kind of God's eye, like a steady camera, and just looking at people, and the same frame that comes back and back and back and back, slightly inspired by Ozu, who get like the same, and that kind of magic and how it plays into the frame, and then it goes to a more spiritual camera where the camera starts to drift a little bit more. So actually it's more like a very subtle spiritual movie in a way, and that was my attempt.
And audiences here in Indianapolis are going to be one of the first to see Small Things Like These at the Heartland Film Festival. You're here for the premiere. It's so exciting to have you here. It's already obviously in Berlin. What is it like to get to show this movie across film festivals across the world?
Oh yeah, it's the best. That's what it's all for. I think it's movies. It's like watching movies together with an audience. That's like the best thing. And I hope we still can do it and people come together and congregate to see movies together and then talk about it. Like, yeah, man, I love it.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful film, wonderful performances. Thank you so much, Tim. Make sure you check out Small Things Like These, opening in theaters November 8th. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Trevor. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Just in time for the spooky season, Paramount Pictures is releasing a super fun new mystery crime thriller. I'm chatting with Dermot Mulroney, who co-stars in Depravity. So tell us what Depravity is all about.
Oh, super fun mystery crime thriller is exactly what this movie is. It's so cool and moody, and it's got this incredibly tense vibe. This is a group, a couple of young people share an apartment down the hall in this bizarre apartment building. I don't know why they want to live there, but they do. And down the hall, it resides Mr. Evers. Now, Mr. Evers can be easily misjudged, but he does live an edgy lifestyle. So at this time during the story, there's a psycho killer on the loose in the city. So they start to wonder whether maybe he's that type of guy, and then they jump to conclusions and make a bunch of bad decisions, and all hell breaks loose. So stay tuned tomorrow when Depravity drops, and find it on your favorite streamer.
Make sure you watch it. And I'll tell you what's most haunting about your character. I watched the movie yesterday. He has hardly any lines in this movie, but you give so much just by these expressions and these looks that it is just chilling and terrifying. How do you prepare to get into character like that?
Well, I was handed the character by the filmmaker, Paul Tamassi. He said to me, "You're going to cut, you'd be open to cutting your hair, right?" I said, "Yes." So all of that added up, but to this character, the wardrobe was really kind of set for me. Not that I didn't have input, but I mean, I began to really dial in on what he wanted in that look. But then, especially without hair, the way light is going to play on a person is different too. So I'm looking really different than I usually look. And so I give a lot to the cinema of this movie, the way that the color saturation and the lighting and the framing, it's just really classic, like almost 70s thriller. If you think of De Palma, maybe this drops into that vein. So we've had like run and gun movies and stuff, a lot of fun stuff to watch. I've been in some of them coming out in these, these streamer thrillers. I've been so thrilled to be a part of these movies. If you think of Ruthless, I have Laws of Man coming out, and Killing Mary Sue are on the horizon. But this one really, really hits you right in the sweet tooth for like tight, dark, like you said, killer thriller.
Yeah, it really does. And we've seen you in some of your other roles in kind of scary movies before, TV shows like American Horror Story, Insidious Chapter 3, and Scream 6. So what about those roles did you kind of incorporate into Mr. Evers?
Oh, great question. Half of the trick on those is just to let the filmmaker fool the audience. I think of Scream too, and so they're all different assignments, because Insidious 3 was a supernatural infestation of my daughter or what have you. So it's always different, but this one, the assignment was so clear. The assignment was really clear in Scream 6 too. Fool everyone, do precisely no more than the script gives you. Just try and duck under it, and then go lunatic reveal at the end, like every Scream movie. So this one, within its own world and its own rules, the assignment was really clear: to be a foreboding character, to be someone that you would look at twice and think, what is his problem? And what's incredible about this movie is really, it actually carries with it kind of an admonition, I would say, rather than a message, but it says, just be sure before you judge on somebody. Mr. Evers that I play clearly has an extreme lifestyle, but doesn't mean anyone's kidding. hurt. So there's a psycho killer in town. They get confused, mix things up, and all hell breaks loose.
These three people who need to be sure, they're up and coming actors. Obviously, we know Victoria Justice, who we've seen grow up in front of us, but we also have Taylor John Smith, Devin Ross. What kind of advice, you've done dozens and dozens of films, TV projects, what kind of advice did you give to them on their future careers?
Well, with Victoria, I really just said, you gotta go for it. Get out there, do roles like this, because she's such a great actor. And now I hear her music and musician as well. So just so much to offer. With Taylor and Devin, they don't need any advice from me. They got it going on. Victoria, I just felt like she's just a step ahead because of her experience, and it would be like taking that turn for her to shuck off her the amazing work she did as a younger person. But Devin especially is really would be coming out of this movie as a go-to castable character actor, I think. So beautiful, of course, also. I don't mean that. And Taylor has got all the goods. So it's time to get these guys cast in other movies. I hope they're busy. They ought to be. We became such a close group, even in the few days that I joined them. They worked so hard together to make this movie. I hope a ton of people see it and appreciate what they did in these lead roles.
It's great to see. It's so funny seeing with so much charisma here, and then we see you in Depravity. People will know after they watch it. He's just very stoic, and make sure you watch Depravity anywhere you can buy it, rent it, stream it, however you can get it. Make sure you watch it. Thanks a lot, Dermot.
Thank you, Trevor. Thank you.
It's all about motherhood for 5-time Emmy nominee Connie Britton in her next two films. They happen to come out on the same day, which is super exciting. So we'll start with Hereafter. So give us a little background. What is Hereafter about?
Okay, well, Hereafter is a thriller, but it's actually a supernatural, a woman's journey into a woman and her daughter's journey into the supernatural, and it's a real exploration into what it is to be a mother, experiencing and exploring pain and guilt, and we see that through this really intense journey.
It's giving me very Vivian Harmon vibes, who obviously we know American Horror Story. What did you take from that role to now play this role in this kind of movie?
You know, that's a great question, because both are mom roles and both were definitely dealing with the supernatural. You know, I would say in looking at both, there were so many differences between those two roles, obviously, but you know, there's something about when you're, at least for me, when I'm looking at playing a world that is going into the supernatural, it's about finding the groundedness within that, because it's almost like, especially for the audience, the more grounded you are in the real world, the more the supernatural world can really come to life, because it's sort of like, oh, I recognize this. This is the real world. This is grounded. And then what is this? How are we like tipping into this other world? Which I find such a fun, you know, that's as an audience member, I find that such a fun experience. And I feel like we got to do that both with Vivian Harmon and with Claire.
That's a great way to put that. In the movie, you're speaking English, but you're also speaking Italian and sign language. Were you familiar with these languages before you signed on to do Hereafter?
I was not. And so that was a steep learning curve for me, but also a great one. It was so, it was incredibly cool to learn a little bit of sign language. And I didn't really have to I would actually like to learn more. Freya, who plays my daughter in the movie, who's incredible, really learned a lot of sign language, and she did an amazing job with that. And then in terms of the Italian, I love the Italian dialect so much, but I don't know the language. So that was also a steep learning curve, because I really had to just drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it. But boy, do I love Italians. I love Italy. I love the Italian language.
I can tell you as an audience member watching it, you pull it off well. We can't tell that you just learned it for just these movies, so both languages as well. And now let's take another step and let's talk about Winner, which happens to come out on the same day. This is one of those movies where it's like, is she a hero? Is she a traitor? It depends on who you're asking, but you're playing reality Winner's mom, and yes, that's her real name. So give us a little backstory about that one.
Yeah, that's a fascinating story. That was a movie that I just felt like I really had to do because it felt like a really, reality's experience was really such a moment in our history. And she really got caught up in a lot of what was happening in our history in that moment. And I learned a lot from being able to speak to Billy, who I play her mom, Billy, who really was her advocate throughout that experience and that sort of harrowing journey. And it just felt really Billy is an incredible woman. But she's also a woman that any of us would know. She just seems like your favorite next door neighbor. And she, really came to bat for her daughter who was going through a terrible experience. So it's an important story. And I think also the movie deals with it in a very fun way.
It does. It's kind of listed as like a black comedy, but it's a very important topic at a very important time in our history, right before the next presidential election. Was that kind of like the main reason why this needed to come out now? What's that going through, kind of doing this junket now as we're gearing up toward the election?
I think it is. I think that we've definitely in these last 10 or 12 years been through a real shift in our culture, and I think it's important for us to this is one of the things that we can do as filmmakers is we are able to kind of reflect what's happening and reflect our history and our culture back to us, and it's important for us to look at that and to see it. So it always feels like an honor to be able to tell those stories.
It's an honor to get to watch it. We know Tammy Taylor, we know Raina James, now we know Claire Hiller, we know Billy Winner. So make sure you watch both of those movies Friday, September 13th on demand and in select theaters. Thanks so much, Connie.
Thank you so much.
Romantic comedies in the 90s and 2000s would have been nothing without Charles Shire and Nancy Meyers, who gave us films like Father of the Bride, The Parent Trap, The Holiday, and It's Complicated. Now their daughter, Hallie Meyers Shire, is releasing her second film, which she directed and wrote. So thank you for chatting with me, and tell us what Goodrich is all about.
Hi, sure. Goodrich is the story of Andy Goodrich, played by Michael Keaton, and he is married to a much younger woman who leaves him in the beginning of the movie, and she leaves him alone with their two 9-year-old twins, who he was sort of the backup parent to, and he's forced to lean a little too heavily on his daughter from his first marriage, played by Mila Kunis, for a little bit of help, and she watches him kind of become the parent to the second generation that she didn't have.
So great that you have such heavy hitters in your film, Michael Keaton, Mila Kunis. Their chemistry is just so great as kind of an estranged father-daughter relationship. What was it like having them on set?
Oh, it was so wonderful. They're both so comedic and so wonderful at drama. They were able to weave in and out of the comedy and the drama so seamlessly. It was just so fun to watch them on screen together. They're so dynamic.
It's really great to see them on screen together. And your first film, Home Again with Reese Witherspoon, was more of a romantic comedy, but I really like how this one is kind of a dramedy. It's kind of doesn't do the romance part of it. And we really focus on this relationship between the father and his daughter, and then also his 9-year-old kids, which we don't really see that much on screen these days. What was that like, getting that story told?
Like you said, finding the tone of this movie was really fun and exciting for all of us making the film. I think in some ways it feels like a romantic comedy, but you're right, there's not really any romance in it. It's more of a complicated father-daughter story. So, parent-child relationships have a lot of built-in comedy and drama, so it was sort of easy to find the tone. We just took it from the honesty of the story we were telling.
Very much so. And what kind of advice did your parents give you for this second film?
I mean, my whole life has been so much, of advice giving on their part. So for the biggest thing that they always impart on me is just to go with your gut, stick with your instincts. You fight a lot of battles on a movie, and it was just always to stay strong to your original vision. And very lucky in independent film, we really do get to stick to our original visions with making the film. So I'm very grateful.
Great to hear that. What do you hope? So Goodrich comes out this Friday. What do you hope people take away after watching it?
You know, I think it's a beautiful thing that it's coming out in theaters and it's in this genre, because I think it's so important and powerful to laugh and cry in a movie theater with other people and strangers. And I really hope that people enjoy that experience.
People are really going to enjoy this movie. It's a great performance from both Michael Keaton and Mila Kunis. It's very well done. Congratulations on this movie.
Thank you so much.
Yes, make sure you see Goodrich in theaters starting Friday, October 18th. Thank you.